need to tune in to the exact frequency, that vibration, that feeling, that emotion of what you want, and then it will just flow to you.
So for example, for anyone who wants to be in a relationship, the best way to actually create a relationship is to live like the person who is already in that type of relationship and make choices and live your life according to that, not from this place of search, which is so many people are doing.
I also find it interesting because women want that. They want the man to be making forward motion towards them, and then they want to decide to receive it or to block it.
I find it there. I meet beautiful men every day. Like every day. There's this thing with me that I meet people everywhere I go. That's why my girlfriends like to go out with me, because it's just like they're just everywhere. But this is because I just love men. I love this life. I'm in this openness. I am in this curiosity. And I feel like I meet very conscious men all the time.
Let's just remind everyone out there, the only person you can change is yourself. Well, welcome everyone. I'm here with Sofia Sundari. She is a best-selling author. She has done over 100 transformational experiences with Sundari Transformational Retreats. Is that what it's called?
Sundari Mystery Emergence.
Sundari Mystery Emergence. She's working on her second book. She has a podcast called Boundless Love. And she has programs, and her focus a lot is around bringing the Tantra tradition, and a lot around masculine, feminine, what we call yin and yang in other ways, which we'll talk about. What are some of the other things that I'm missing? When I was reading your bio, I was like, there's no way I can remember this. I know you've been doing this for about 15 years with thousands of people, over 80 countries. So this is, you're on your path, you're on your mission.
I am, yeah. Yeah, well, it feels like the whole work has emerged from my own calling, from my own search. And I was just so touched when I first felt touched by grace, when I first felt what it means to come into the embrace of the divine. And then from that point on, it was just rolling. And then so many people have been, it's been unfolding. So, no, I need to say it differently. But what I feel like what's been happening is that I've been just receiving requests from the universe, from the world, from the people, and I've been just saying yes to that. And now, as a result of that, there are so many marriages that came together, so many repaired relationships, so many people stepped onto the path of supreme destiny, and all of that just as a byproduct of coming into a higher state of consciousness. And that's what my work is really dedicated to the highest meeting of the masculine and feminine, which then creates a sacred union within.
That is beautiful. I think that's really awesome to hear, that you felt a calling from the universe that called you into a higher frequency or a higher consciousness. And because of that, a lot of people are getting helped. So for those out there that don't have the universe speaking to them and they're not hearing that voice and getting that vision, explain, how did it come to you, and how do they hear that?
Well, I was a lawyer working in Russia, and I was just doing everything that I thought I had to do as the good woman, as the proper woman, just getting good education so that I become smart, so that I become available to the right man, so that I get married and live happily ever after. And then choosing law as my profession was simply just like my mind trying to figure things out as a 15-year-old. And then something really huge happened. Well, there was a death of my best friend that really shook me up. Then I went to India, and in India, for the first time in my whole life, I felt met by life. I felt happy for the first time in my life. And I just remember driving my scooter in Goa and just feeling this tremendous sense of happiness, without any reason. Not because some guy liked me, not because something good happened, but just because. And that was like really those pivotal moments in my life. Then a meditation retreat that really blasted me open and made me experience grace directly. So those kind of things, it's like I feel like I was just following the things that were bringing me joy, like really deep joy, and stepping away from things that were not. Once I remember that I thought that my ultimate fulfillment as a woman will come from being in the right relationship. And it was just not happening. The men that I was attracted to were not attracted to me. The men that were attracted to me, I wasn't attracted to. And then I was like, I feel cornered. Like, what to do with this thing? And also, I got fired from my law job, which was a blessing in disguise, obviously. But then I was like, what do I do from here? Nothing is working out in my life. And then I started to search. I started to Google. And I kind of went down to what I thought was the root of all my problems. And I thought it was that I was not confident enough. And so I was Googling how to become more self-confident. And then I came across this crazy, wild quantum physics material. Like out of all the self-help kind of stuff, I came across like really advanced stuff, which I'm still considering to be some of the most advanced material written out there by a very elusive author, Russian author called Vadim Zeland. So I just was absorbing this information, and he was speaking all about how we are creators of our reality, and how whatever we see in front of us is our creation. And I was like, wow, this stuff is insane. Like, everyone has to know that. Everyone has to live that. Like, and no one is speaking about it. And within that, like, things just started to change very, very quickly for me. Like, in a matter of days, I became clear on what I wanted, and I wanted to go where I was happy. I wanted to go to India. I wanted to do yoga. I wanted to do meditation. I wanted to do things that were opening me. And so it happened. Like, people reached out of the blue, offered me some job opportunities. Like, everything happened just unexpectedly, out of nothing. And then I ended up on this path. And first I was in India, and then I ended up in Thailand, where I lived for a while. And then my work started to unfold through my own practices, through my own experiences. But then the work started to blossom just slowly. First by working with women and practicing mystical dance together. I was teaching sacred dance for women, so for women to come into their body, into their sensitivity, into their sensuality. Then the women heard that I'm practicing Tantra and that I'm practicing sexual cultivation techniques. They were super interested. Suddenly, from like 4 people in the class, I had 12 people. And then it just felt like, it was like invited out of me, and I was just saying yes.
What a beautiful path. What I'm hearing from that is, instead of tuning in to what you thought you should be doing, you were tuning into what you truly wanted to be doing. And you made a decision to create your own reality. This information, Vadim, what's his last name?
Vadim Zeland.
Vadim Zeland, in the name of the book?
Transurfing Reality and Transurfing of Reality.
Great. I'm going to check that one out. I also have been doing a lot of research on, especially around the law of attraction, creating your own reality, and coming into vibrational frequency to attract that what I actually want. And it's very interesting because in the law of attraction, you actually have to feel it in your body. It's a thought and a feeling has to go together. And the best way I've heard it described is, it's like if there's a radio station playing 98.1 FM, and you're tuned to 107, you're never going to receive the transmission or that information or that thing that you desire. So you need to tune in to the exact frequency, that vibration, that feeling, that emotion of what you want, and then it will just flow to you. And then the second part of it that's interesting is you have to expect that it will happen. And I was struggling with that one for a while, because it's like a lot of work on non-attachment and just being like, I'm going to be happy with whatever comes to me, and, and just be joyous and practicing that. But this idea of expecting it to happen. So if you're expecting that partner the way that you want to feel, you have to expect that that partner is available, that they're going to show up, and that they're coming. And otherwise, you're blocking yourself. So if you don't expect it, you're blocking yourself. Have you heard the same thing?
Well, I would take it even deeper, that it's not even you're expecting, but it's like you already are experiencing it right now. So, for example, for anyone who wants to be in a relationship, the best way to actually create a relationship is to live like the person who is already in that type of relationship, and make choices and live your life according to that, not from this place of search, which is so many people are doing, and then, the dating scene and like all of this, like searching, like that actually is a state of lack. So when you're resonating at the level of lack, then you will keep attracting lack, and then you'll keep saying that there are no good men, there are no good women, da, da, da. But when you are in this like I'm already held in the divine embrace, I'm already held in this perfect partnership, I'm already in that reality that I want to be, and then then it just takes just a matter of time to align with that.
It's interesting you say that, because earlier you said, before any man I was attracted to, they weren't attracted to me, and vice versa. I also have had a very similar story. It's like I get attention, I get a good amount of attention, but the woman that I'm really interested in, they're like, you're amazing, like one of the best men, such an incredible man, so safe. But then they're not interested in the sexuality because they feel so safe. And something I get frustrated with quite a bit is I've done a lot of work to be safety for women, and not so they don't feel like I'm trying to take and so on. And a current place that I'm at that I find very interesting, a bit frustrating, is I almost get the same thing, especially this last year. It's like, oh my God, I've never felt so safe with a man. I feel so comfortable. And, even to the point that, one of my best friend's fiancés, we can share a bed and even cuddle and nobody's worried about anything, right? Which would blow people's minds and create triggers and jealousies. But I trust myself, at the very core. And there's also that trust here. But I'm also noticing that women in general, actually, they say they want this safety from a man, yet they're not as attracted to it. And they're attracted more to the mystery, a little bit of the flirt, maybe a little, the way that a man approaches. And because I was not that in the past, it was angling or trying to get something or force something. And interestingly enough, that actually works much better than full transparency, full communication. And I found that a bit frustrating. And I was working with a friend of ours, Yanni, who's also does very deep in the Tantra work. And we've been working on some unblocks in this. And, and she's showing me ways to actually lead with more sexual energy that's still with safety. And I'm finding it a bit unnatural, which is interesting. And I'm curious, do you feel as a woman that you desire that safety?
So there is this phenomenon which is too safe.
Yeah.
And
I crossed over to that.
Yeah, and I've been in some relationships where it was that way. And actually sometimes women are actually seeking the safety, because especially if we were traumatized or hurt by a man and there was some kind of avoidant situation which was so difficult, which is like really hits women if they have normally women have a little bit more of anxious attachment style and men have more avoidant. Of course, it's not so gender specific, but majority from what I perceive is when you meet someone with an avoidant attachment style, so who does not like to go into confrontation, who doesn't like to process emotions, who doesn't like to speak about the relationship, and if there is a challenge, then they would pull back. So this is the avoidant attachment style. And then when women are like so invested in the relationship and they want to make it work and they want to have the relationship of their dreams and so these two energies, like, it's usually like when they are coming, like people come with that energy together, it's a karmic, like kind of like a classic karmic relationship. And then sometimes women get very hurt by that because the man is just basically it's not possible to catch him, and she's trying to catch him, which by itself is a big mistake. But anyway, when women go through those experiences, they get really hurt, then they really want the safety. But in the safety, what is a problem is that safety has to come together with respect. And if you really cannot respect the man, you shouldn't be with him. And that's what I find that like there is this dance between finding your worth, like your real worth, your true place of worth, and through that providing the safety and everything else, but not as at an expense of your own true place. It's like you're not abandoning yourself for this woman, but at the same time you're leading with like provision and clarity and direction and everything that's natural inside. That's what I find, like, like we make it so complicated when we try to understand like the dating dynamics and this and that, but actually if we really come and understand how this body works, how your masculine hormones work, how the feminine hormones work, how it's like the yoni is, like for me, the sexuality is just so direct, so clear to understand how it is. When we drop into our bodies, then it kind of makes sense how to be, how to like hold yourself in so much love that when you provide for a woman, it comes from a place of like I am so good in myself and I know who I am and I know what I want. And this is how I want to show it to you and how I want to provide for you and how I want to cherish you. I don't know if it answers your question.
It's a conversation. I think the curiosity that I have is like how to bring that sexual energy in a way that's safe, because many times a man bringing sexual energy to a woman can be unsafe. And which is, I also find it interesting because women want that. They want the man to be making forward motion towards them, and then they want to decide to receive it or to block it. That seems to be the preference that I see in this, what you're calling masculine and feminine polarity. Let's just, let's stop there. Can you explain in Tantra the word polarity? In my connection map, we have 4 chords. And in those 4 chords are 8 threads that make up a human connection, including a romantic connection. So there's the situational, there's the ease, there's alignment chord, and the sexuality chord. And in the sexuality chord, some of the attributes of a sexuality connection are things like attraction, openness for sexuality, the way you perceive your openness of the other person to you in sexuality, sexual alignment, and polarity. And the one thing that when people get to this quiz and take it, the one thing that consistently is confusing to them is the word polarity. So could you give us and give the viewership what is polarity in the easiest way possible, and maybe start it with, so that we can get a clip out of it, polarity is.
So I like to see it as more complex than a horizontal plane, because the polarity exists on vertical plane and on horizontal plane. And there are various traditions that speak about masculine, feminine, yin and yang, father sky, mother earth. In some traditions it's reverse, actually, the earth, father, and the sky is the nut. Like in Egyptian tradition, for example, they say nut is the sky, the feminine. She's the goddess sky, and the father is the earth. So there are so many traditions that explain it, and so there's so much confusion actually. And what I find to be like really the cleanest way to explain it is this approach where you see this kind of cross of creation, where on the bottom of the cross, there is the Shakti, there is a feminine, there is the life force, which is everything that we can see. It's the divine, but manifest, divine that is manifest. So everything that we are talking about, all our emotions, all our relationships, all our expressions, even masculine and feminine, is within this Shakti, is within this grand life. And then the Shakti, she rests on the canvas, on the background of stillness, which is the ultimate masculine principle of stillness, principle of just being, just this infinite, vast void. And on the background of this void, everything, all the luminosity plays. And then there is and so that's why when we speak about holding space, for example, holding space considered to be the masculine activity, where you're just like you are now, you're just still, you're listening, you're open, like you're allowing this expression that I'm bringing now to take place. And then there is the horizontal plane, which is a relational plane. And on this plane, we have also masculine and feminine. And masculine is that one that is moving forward. It's like our body is a perfect example of that. So the masculine sexual organs are like, the sexual organ is like the lingam, the phallus is like forward. Yeah, there is this energy of like kind of you enter the world with your phallus. Like that's the penetration of the masculine. And in its balanced place, it's this clarity of direction, ability to direct the energy, ability to direct the flow of energy that is there, this ability to be determined, to be focused. In the extreme, it will be tyranny, yeah, and control. Because when you are so good at like directing energy, then you can go into control. And that's what people sometimes discover, yeah, where they try to really have their life together and they run businesses and stuff, then they start to control and start to get into the stiffness within, and then maybe start to demand from the world and command instead of finding a more balanced place where it's like, okay, I can decide where we're going, but at the same time stay balanced also in the feminine, because then the feminine is the receptive. And the receptive means just like our yoni, just like the vagina of a woman, she's receptive and she knows how to naturally open. And a woman naturally, in her natural state, she knows how to open, how to receive the provision of the masculine. Now, so many women, like, I find that men always want to help us. Men always want to provide. I mean, today you provided this whole thing for me for recording of my program. You were so kind, you organized everything. The other man who was here, he also was moving things for me. And it's like, I could be blocking that and I could say I can just do it all by myself. Or I could be receptive and just welcome that in my life. And that's where so many women disconnect from that. They don't see that men want to provide. They don't experience it. And then they say there are no good men out there. But all it takes is to open your eyes and to be available to that. And same for men, yeah, to know that this is such a gift that you provide in so many ways. Yes, of course, you can provide financially, but you also can provide energetically and provide with just that clarity and focus and help to organize a bit this feminine wild flow and to help ground it. So, yeah, so that's basically the map. And then when we speak about polarity, which it means that attraction. Polarity means like the opposites attract each other. So when there is a man who is really embodied in his masculine, who really knows how to lead from a place of love, how to lead from a place of really connection to the divine, and lead not to prove himself, but lead really to bring more love. This is an ideal world, obviously. Yeah, there could be some entanglements there. But this will be a counterpart or polarized part for the feminine who is so devotional. So we always want to find ourselves with partners, like as women, we want to find a partner whose consciousness matches our devotion. So for men also, the more developed you are in your consciousness, the more you need devotion from a woman, the more you need a woman to be in her heart. And so many women are so scared to go in the heart, because for men, it's like you penetrate the world with your phallus. For women, we penetrate the world with our heart, with our breasts. Yeah, also physiologically, this is how it is. And then when women are so scared to land into the heart and to be vulnerable and to be receptive and to open and to feel the divine love within this heart, then we don't have any kind of polarity. Then it's like there's more competition, there's more transactional relationships, there's more, well, I gave you that, what you're going to give me back. But in the highest meeting of the masculine and feminine, when a woman rests into her embodiment, into her receptivity, and that has to come from a real grounded place. It's a choice. It cannot happen if she's just swaying in the wind. She needs to have herself together, but it's a choice then to be embodied in the feminine. Then this evokes this masculine energy of power, of clarity, of dedication, of provision. And that's what we desire so much, but we don't understand that if we are blocking our hearts as women, we're not going to experience that in men. And also in men, if they're not growing in their consciousness and not occupying their consciousness and not occupying their ability to like go forward, create, put themselves forward, then also they will be attracting either women who are not mature in their heart, or who are all over the place, or who are closed in themselves and not able to access those realms. So this is a long explanation, but in short, the polarity is the reciprocal energies that are always there. Whoever is in front of me right now, whoever is in front of you right now, it's a perfect reciprocal energy to what is right now within you. So there can never be a wrong partner, actually. It's like it's always reciprocal, whatever we experience, because there's just one energy that's what we talked about. It's like we live in this quantum web that is just revealing itself. because there are myriads of potentials that exist right now, and yet you find yourself in this situation right now with this person because there's a resonance.
Yeah, we are calling in how we're resonating, right? It's interesting because I found that if you're calling in the same thing, the same pattern, there's a reason for that. You need to heal what that trauma is. You have to figure that out, get through it. And, I found also the older I get and the more clear I get in what I desire in a partner, the more pickier I am and the faster I am to let something go when it doesn't feel aligned. And I often think this actually might be, there might be some things that are missing out here because, in developing the connection map, are you familiar with it at all or not? Do you know the connection map? So if you basically, I've done a lot of research. I've created a framework for human connection called the connection map. And by looking at that, anyone can answer the questions between two people, and it will tell you the likelihood of a healthy relationship very precisely. And this is done by interviewing types of people. A lot of Tantra masters like Ananda Sarita was involved. And the idea is not how do you have a perfect relationship, but are all the components of human connection in parameters, in healthy parameters. So for example, if I say, do you trust this? How much do you trust me? And you say, I don't trust you very much. That is outside the parameters of a healthy relationship, right? Or how easy is it for us to communicate? And you say, it's extremely easy for us to communicate, or it's mostly easy for us to communicate, but maybe there's some stickiness there sometimes. That's still within parameters of a healthy relationship. Or if I say, how attracted are you to me? And you say a 2 out of 10, probably not in parameters for a healthy long-term relationship. And interesting enough, if it's a 10 out of a 10, it actually lowers things and actually causes problems. So for those of you that are seeking a 10 out of a 10 attraction, it's actually most likely going to hurt you. It's funny because the healthiest relationships are generally between a 5 and a 7 in attraction. Which is hilarious, right?
Yeah, but that's the difference between the karmic and the dharmic relationship. The karmic one is that when there are those sparks and the unicorns are all flying around, and all of this, but then usually it's a trauma bond. Yeah, it's like it feels so familiar. It's like when men tell me you feel like home, I start to feel a bit nervous because it feels like, like in which way do you mean it? Like, do you mean it like
your mom screaming at you?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is that? But if the dharmic relationship, which is actually like the partners who are meant to support each other's highest unfoldment, they're quite cool. Like there is a coolness to them. There's no like fireworks and lightnings, but really there is just a feeling of like it feels right. It's a fit.
And we're supporting each other to our highest good. So for example, with the work that you're doing, if we were in a relationship, maybe we're making content together. Maybe I'm helping you with the masculine structures of technology on the back end while you can be in your flow, right? That is what you're calling more of a dharmic, which is helping each other into their highest purpose. Yeah. That's what you call it. Yeah. And karmic is what? How would you describe a karmic?
Karmic is for healing. Yeah. Like most of the relationships are there for healing. And it's for most people, that's the only type of relationship they will experience in this lifetime. Whereas like you come together with someone, you think it's about love and it's about healing. You come to highlight each other's deepest pain and heal through that by really pressing on that pain. Yeah. It's not very romantic at all.
Yeah, and there's, I've noticed I had a woman I was relating with for a while, and she was really invested in my highest self. But the way that it was done is very manipulative, and it's very like, if you don't do this, I'm going to withdraw my love. Like I see, and I've noticed this with women a lot, they're very good at seeing a man's highest self. And that's so beautiful. And women out there, the way you need to do it is with love and patience and unconditional love, which means if you see, maybe there's something in my life that needs work, it's like, I love you I'm noticing something here. Is that something that you want to talk about and work on? That's with unconditional love. I'm going to love you either way, whether or not you heal from that trauma. I see it very clearly in you. I can support you in that if you want and if you're ready for that. And if not, I'm just here for you.
That's what happens when a woman matures from her princess subpersonality or princess archetype, where in the princess it's like she's such a dreamer, so she can see the highest potential in everyone. It's like it's even a superpower in a way. It's like you can see the highest potential of someone and you're like so fascinated by it. And it's also powerful transfiguration principles, powerful tantric principle of transfiguration, where you see the divine in someone just directly with your eyes open. But then if you start to go into illusion that this potential has to be here now and else I'm not interested, or you start to relate to that potential, not to the actual person that's right here, then the problems begin, because there's no unconditional love in that at all.
Yeah, I really love that and want to repeat that. It's basically when we're trying to get to a goal of what we want our partner to be and change them, that is where control and manipulation and women in their shadows can go into that very easily. And the beautiful, but it stems from a good intention, which is, I see you and I see these things that if you can learn this or upgrade or heal from this, you're going to be such a better man. And I want that for you. So it's a fine line. And, and let's just remind everyone out there, the only person you can change is yourself.
And your partner will change according to that.
Exactly.
Or they will disappear.
Those are the two options.
Yeah, the two options.
And you can hold somebody in that love. If I see something in you that maybe is clearly like, maybe I'm a little older, have done more work in an area, and I see healing or upgrading that's available for you, and I'm interested in you, or we're partners, I can just see if that's something that you feel ready for, and ask you and be like, I really love you and I noticed this thing, and I'm curious if that's something that you want to talk about, or if you feel good about it with you, then I can trust that in the right time that will come, and if it doesn't, it's also okay too.
And I find that the best way for women to do that is just by expressing our feelings and expressing our golden no. Whereas like when a man is doing something and it's like it just doesn't, it's not about him, but it's about us.
How you feel.
Yeah, and it's about us, it's about this moment, and it's about the truth of the moment. And if we can be like, if we can get out of this like trying to be nice and like not disturb the person, or be in this kind of ice queen where it's like you need to do this and this and that, like you're misbehaving or something like that. But more so expressing how we feel. So for example, recently I was dancing, I'm really into Zouk these days, so
cool.
This Brazilian
Sexy.
partner dance, super sexy.
I love it.
And there, I love it because it's exactly this polarity. It's exactly the men are just doing the masculine, women are just doing the feminine. At the same time, women need to be really grounded in themselves in order to allow all these wild spins and everything. And so I was dancing with this man, and we are dancing beautifully. And then he starts to get a bit reckless, and he starts to like move my head around, or like invite me to move my head. And then I bump into someone. And this is so heartbreaking because like, you're opening to someone, you really trust that they hold you, you really trust that he's aware of, 360 degrees of what's going on. And then boom, like I bump into someone. It was not even a hard bump, but it was just so surprising and so shocking. So then I noticed myself like closing, and I find myself saying, you need to be more aware of the space. And then I take a breath, and he took it really well. Like he did not get offended. He was like, wow, he really saw that it was his responsibility, and he started to apologize and make up for that. But then I took a breath and I was like, no, that's not the way I want to interact as a masculine. I actually want to say that I was scared. That really scared me, and that closed me and contracted my body. And that really created this openness between us, and we could go deeper. Even though, another man maybe would have closed and would have said like, oh no, that was just an accident or something. He was mature enough to really say that, yeah, it's true, that's my fault, I'm so sorry. And he actually went on the process around that afterwards. But still, in this kind of situation, a more powerful way is to really, as soon as possible. Sometimes, yes, there is this immediate response to like close. But as soon as possible, as soon as we recognize it, to open and to say, that really scared me. That wasn't like, that didn't feel good to me. And that activates a process in the other partner, in the other person, just because we're being honest, just because we're being connected, and because we can accept the reality. Okay, that happened. Okay, how did that make me feel? And I can express, and then the elevation happens. Because what happened then with this man is that he's been really tuning into, like, how can I be a more safe place? How can I really expand my awareness to be aware not only of me and you, but actually of the whole space around? And that activated his transformation and brings him higher into his own awareness as a man.
It's interesting. I have a whole language framework, a communication framework on that exact thing. I call it a you to I statement. And what you did was the lowest level of communication, quite frankly. And I would say you should probably own that one.
Yeah, sure.
The lowest level is you need to be more aware of your space. The nonviolent communication is a level 2 communication, which is I felt scared when we got a little too wild and we bumped into someone, and I feel like I'm closing. And then the framework that I have is a level 3, might start with, I was really enjoying our dancing. I felt so free and open, and it was great, and I loved dancing with you. And when we bumped into someone, I noticed myself closing and feeling a little less safe. I just want to tell you that I would love to continue. And I just thank you for being more aware of the space. And a man is like, oh, she wants to stay with me. She wants to dance with me. And I actually have an AI tool, I can put the link in there, where you can put you need to be more aware of the space, and it will give you a whole, make it really easy, because, communication is one of the best ways to connect with someone. When you said you need to be more aware of the space, my whole body closed. I was like, oh, ouch. Like if I heard that from a woman and I was in a dance like that, not only would it close me, it would make me not trust you. It makes me not feel like you really understand men. And because and the truth is, you're right? Yes, he does. But that man knows that as soon as he makes a mistake, right? Yeah. And it's interesting because as men, we need to be trusted. Men need respect and trust. That's what we truly, truly desire. And as a woman, you need to be able to have the safety and to be able to trust us. And we need the permission to screw up. Because as soon as you a woman starts putting if you screw up, I'm gone, that it creates the most unsafety possible for a man. And it's like, okay, if I make a mistake, now I have to walk on eggshells. I have to be careful of everything I do. I go out of my full expression. I go out of my power. I weaken myself. I suppress myself. And then the woman is actually going to hate that and not understand it. Be like, I want you to be a man and step up. And it's like, no, you don't allow me to, because you're holding such a high standards of and expectations that I can't lead you, because I'm afraid that if I get it a little wrong. And I need to know from a woman that, listen, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to follow you, and I follow you to do your best. And if you get a little off or something gets wacky or messy, I'm going to tell you how I'm feeling about it. Hey, with this thing, you brought us to a place. I don't know if I really feel safe in this alley or in this place. And then the man, when he hears the impact of how she feels, guess what he wants to do? He wants to immediately readjust and then be like, oh, problem solved. Okay, how can I create this safety for her again? Well, let's bring her out of this alley and back into the big street, etc. And this is something I really want. I was actually thinking about talking to you about, and it may feel a little vulnerable, because it feels a bit vulnerable to me, is this idea of the expectations that women bring into how a man should show up, and the cultural differences from where we come from. You grew up in Russia, is that correct? I'm from New York. I just did a ton of work I was teaching at Ansbacka, multiple festivals in Sweden. The way that they look at this is very different in the polarity and the expectations of what a man should do. So for example, in Sweden, you're at dinner. At the end of our date, they're tallying up which one ate what and paying the bill. And this is a way for equality. In New York, it's different. When I was with a partner, I was with a partner long-term for many years, 4.5, 5 years. And she made good money. I made good money. Sometimes she was making more than me, sometimes making less than me. And what we were on was a mission to basically make our life as good as possible with the resources that we had. So sometimes I would pay for things and it was like a gift. Like, I want to give you this. Or sometimes she didn't have as much money and I wanted to go on this beautiful yacht trip. And she was like, well, I don't have the money for that. I'm like, great, I'd love to pay for you. Other times we put money into a pot. And then when we went on vacation, we'd spend it. And when that money ran out, we would put more money in. And that helped her feel equality. Now, in your culture, we call that no way, Jose, right? And there was an experience. And it's interesting because in different cultures, and I want to bring this back to masculine and feminine in this, and then I want to separate polarity, equality, and the expectation that I have found. I will not date a Russian woman because of this reason. Because the energy that they are bringing is that of a harsh expectation that if you screw up, I'm out. And if you do not bring flowers, I'm out. Like, how dare you? If you do not pay for my dinner, how dare you? Like, you are not a real man. And I want to challenge this. And the reason is, one of my good friends went on a date with you. And then afterwards, he invited you to a spa with one of his other good friends. And it was his birthday. And you came in, and in Russian culture, whoever's birthday it is, they pay for all their friends, correct? In American culture, in Western culture, generally everyone pays for the birthday person. So he was with a spa with his friend, and his friend was like, hey, I would love to pay for you. And he says, oh, thank you. And they go in the spa, you come in, and, and your expectation is you're going to get paid for, I'm assuming, correct? As a woman, I was invited, it's a birthday, and then he didn't hear from you for a couple hours. And then there was a conversation. What he expressed was that you had an expectation and the energetics was you did not do it right. And then that made him withdraw, right? So I'm curious for you, what was there? How much of that do you think is cultural? How much do you think it is the feminine, etc.? And I'd love to hear more from your opinion, because I heard the one side and it was like, and there's a bit of a joke in Bali because there's a lot of Russians in Bali. And there's just a very different culture in dating in men, women. And I want to dig deeper actually into more of those expectations, not just in Bali, but in general, with the woman providing the man, taking care of the money and protection, and the woman bringing the nourishment, the home, the cooking, the family, things, the decoration, the cleaning, things of the sort. I'd love to dive a little bit more into that because I'm telling you, it gets confusing from being in a place where there's a lot of cultural expectations and backgrounds. I dated a woman from Poland, and there was things that got tough that she had expectations that I had no idea about. And as soon as she shared them with me, I'm like, oh, I would love to do that for you. But I want to do them from a place of giving, not from a place of expectation, right? And there's a different energy there, I believe. So I'd love to hear for you, those that either maybe some expectations. It doesn't have to be about this situation. It's just more of, as a woman, what is it that you're truly desiring? And what are you expecting? What do you appreciate? And where's the difference between appreciating if something happens and being upset or like angry or like blocking energetically if it doesn't happen?
Yeah.
Does that feel okay?
Well, I don't know if I'm comfortable with speaking about this particular example.
Great, we can go to another one.
But I'm happy to speak about this. And there's also another thing that I really want to bring that I think will help to give a context for the next thing, which is kind of a little bit backtracking to what we were speaking about, the whole communication and how to communicate and like, are you familiar with the work of David Data?
Yeah. Way of the Superior Man is a fantastic book.
Yeah, so I really love his work, and he was the one who really brought polarity forward. And I really, really resonate deeply with the 3 stages that he speaks about of relationships and 3 stages of development in a person. And the first stage is this kind of experience of kind of blaming each other and kind of playing this ping pong, like you did this wrong, you did that wrong, and then we can get stuck in that. Second stage is what you're describing, is the communication, this healthy communication, this kind of like, this is what I want, these are my needs, can you provide them? And then we have this healthy exchange and communication. It's like kind of therapy stage, and the stage where we're really owning a responsibility for what we have to do, who we are, what we want, what we desire, and what our expectations are, and like being clear and upfront with that. And then there's a third stage where things get much more complex in a way, but also very simple. And in this stage, this is not about communication anymore. This is about like really tuning into the deep energetics and the deep truth of the moment. Yeah. So even in that example that I brought with the dance and the bump and like what was so special about this guy that he didn't close. Yeah. Even though I expressed in the first stage kind of way where I was like, oh, you did that. Yeah. But he met it from a third stage place where he was like, oh, that was really my mistake. Like, and he did not, I did not bring the venom also, because I think you can say this thing in so many ways. Yeah. You can bring it with the venom, like you fucked up and I'm out of here. Yeah. Or you can say, wow, like that was really bad and that really hurt me and you shouldn't do that. But it comes from just a way of like, okay, I'm expressing whatever from a closure, yes, but at the same time, at least I am expressing, and I'm not bringing a venom there, but I'm just hurting, and that's the best way I can say in the moment. From the third stage, it doesn't actually matter, because he stays open, and it's not an invitation for women to like project all their shit and like expect that the man won't budge. But also, it's something for us to know that that's where we want to grow into anyway. And then when someone comes with their hurt and their projection towards me or their closure, then I can still meet it like from a place of understanding, well, this is a match for my energy right now. This is where we're at right now, and this is the level that we have to unpack here. And so now, speaking about because this is like the consciousness, and it's like understanding like, okay, yes, my truth, my responsibility is that, yes, I messed up and I want to be a better man for him. And then like that just continued to deepen his process, and then understanding what kind of man he wants to be and what's going on. And that didn't close neither him nor me, because he really took responsibility and we continued interacting. And now you're asking this whole thing was a cultural expectation, and Russian women being gold diggers or having
gold diggers
coming with all their projections or like standards of how we want a man to be and This can come from such a contracted place and from such a place of pain and from such a place of push and pressure, or it can come from a place of self-worth, and it's a world of a difference. And there's just a sense that it's like that like if a man is not making me feel safe and not making sure that like he really is invested into me, I will simply lose interest. Like I'm not upset with him. I feel like he is like exactly where he needs to be, but I will be checking whether he's the right man for me or not, because I have a bunch of men around me and so many beautiful guys, and that's how it has to be for every single woman. There's abundance of men, and when we connect with men from a place of love and not like choosing like, is it my man or is it not my man, and kind of kind of having this like judgment toward every guy, but more so like letting every man, giving every man a chance, letting every man show who he is. And when we come from this place of openness, then it's like there's so much choice, And that's the masculine and feminine dynamic to me, where a woman rests in her natural place, in her worth, in her connection to herself, in knowing where she's going, where she wants to go. And then man, like, in nature, like the sperm and the egg, the sperm is fighting for the egg. The sperm is like going, and the best sperm wins.
Yeah.
So such basic biology, but then we somehow disconnect from it, and then some women really want to feel this equality and like really proving something. For me, equality is nothing but proving something. I don't believe in equality at all.
You don't believe in equality?
I don't believe it's like, it's on a certain state of consciousness, yes. But when we go higher in states of consciousness, what kind of equality? The whole world is unfair. Good people getting hurt and dying and experiencing disaster. Innocent children getting born with terminal diseases. Like, what kind of fairness or equality there is? None. There's only alignment. Whatever we are aligned to, that's what we're going to be experiencing. Okay.
If I wanted to date you, what expectations would you have from me?
Expectation is a strong word.
Yeah.
But what I am looking for in a man is that his consciousness matches my devotion. That every way in which he wants to show up, that he's so intentional in how he's pursuing me, in how he's claiming me, that I feel completely relaxed, because I want to have a family, I want to have a child. And for me to have a child with a man, I need to feel so safe. I need to feel my whole body blossoms next to him. And what makes me feel that way is when he provides for me 100% all the time, and he keeps showing me all the time his commitment, his investment into me. And I've created a lot of wealth in my life, so I don't need that. But I desire that. And there's just like, I want to be met on the level that I provide for myself, at least. But ideally, I would like my partner to elevate me. And that's a high standard, because I've created a high standard in my life. But, that's the truth.
So you couldn't date someone, or you don't want to date someone if they're making less money than you, because that makes you feel unsafe.
It's not so much about the money, it's about abundance mindset. Like how abundant they are, because they can be making heaps of money, but then,
Maybe scarcity, yeah. For sure. So, for example, let's get into the providing for. What does that mean to you on a practical stance? Because I've also, one of my business partners dated a Russian woman. He's like, and she's telling me I need to give her $3,000 a month and pay for her gym membership and pay for her nails. And he's just like, what the hell? I've never heard of anything like that. And that was her expectation. And she would get upset if that was not provided for, because for her, maybe this is a cultural thing, but that's what it means to be provided for. And you said provided for 100%. So what does that mean to you?
Those kind of basic things are not so impactful for me, but it's really just to feel that a man wants to give me. He wants to give me everything he has. And I don't have a list, like I need to pay for my gym, for my nail, whatever. If it's right for her, bless her. I think it's like we all are entitled to our desires. But the point is, like, how embodied is she, or am I, or any woman in that state? If it's like, if I'm just expecting that, and it's not, I'm not really evoking this in a man naturally, then it's just not going to work.
So you want a man to pay for every single thing?
Well, when we are together, when when he wants to take me out, when he invites me somewhere, where he wants to show me that he cares, that he wants to give me gifts, or I want this to come from a man, I want him to be so involved that it's just natural. I don't need to ask for it. I would not ask for it, actually. I would not come with expectation.
But you want it.
Of course.
You want it, but you would not ask for it.
I maybe, I don't think I would tell him that is my list, this is what I need you to give me, but I would be observing. And if I need something, I think it's natural for a man in his masculine energy to give me what I want and to affirm his presence in my life in this way.
I would like to share something as a man. We still have not figured out how to read minds.
But you'd be surprised. I find that men really just know. If you know me, if you know what I love, and I am vocal in my desires, I am speaking out my desires all the time. I'm vulnerable enough, and it's not always easy, but I'm vulnerable enough to desire next to a man. and to express like, oh, I want that, oh, this is my dream to go to this place, this is my dream to experience it. I would feel so good, I would feel so connected to you if we do this together. You know, like, this is my responsibility, but not to, like, you know, specifically like point him, like, hey, this is a link, you need to go pay for it. I could even do that, like, if he's asking me, you know, if he's like, okay, I will provide this for you, like, I want to give you this, what would you like? I can send a link, for sure.
Okay, great. We're going to put a link to Sofia's gift registry.
Yeah.
If you'd like to date her, make sure that you're making, well, I mean...
I have a Telegram group, I can
she's got a Telegram group for her links. And I know that you have a beautiful program called Becoming Her, is that correct? And had quite a few participants in it. And you were very excited. I saw on your Instagram when I was doing a little research, it was like 80 or 90 participants.
110, right?
110. And I think it was like, you know, a $1,000 or $2,000 course. So men, if you're not making at least $200,000 every 2 weeks, you might need to take a pass on that one. I'm jesting, but you know, you're doing very well. So I'm curious. So in this situation, he's providing for you. You're making hundreds of thousands of dollars in a couple of weeks or months. You're doing very well for yourself. Where's that money going? You're just taking that, hoarding that for yourself. He's paying for everything as like a safety blanket in case it doesn't work out, or like, how is that? I'm truly curious about this.
Okay, good.
How does this work?
Good. Well, so what I'm doing is that I want to generate as much wealth as I possibly can so that I can do something really beautiful and big in this world. I want to build temples. I want to provide homes for homeless people. My heart is massive. I want to do massive things on this planet. So when we are together, we're going to be doing massive things together. Like, I will inspire you in ways you have no idea. You don't even understand that you have that in you, but it will come out because it's my commitment to be the totality of the woman that I am. And I'm going to live from my heart, and I'm going to love you so much that it will blow your socks off. Like, what kind of market are we talking about? Where do you put your money? Where do I put my money? You know, like, it's a whole other dimension we're dancing in.
But these are real questions that come up as a man. And for example, and I totally agree, the right woman is going to up level, is going to give me so much, make me bigger, expand.
And if you're not getting it, don't pay for her. Just fucking run.
Yes, okay, you know, just make sure you're saving the receipts so you can take it back. Well, it's the way that you speak about it, I still find a bit challenging, and I'm also very curious, and I do want to understand, because I agree, because I will tell you, when a woman comes to me and says, this is how I want to feel, Joe, I want a beautiful home that's overlooking a valley with a river, and I want our kids, and I want to have singing and music in the house, and you know, and I want to make sure that someone's helping clean the house because I don't want to do that. I'm just like, as a man, I'm just like, okay, we need to do this, and this, and we need to go to here, we need to invest in this, and then I want to make that. I want to bring the structure to that woman, and I know the right woman is going to supercharge me in gigantic ways and then help me become bigger in life.
Women are amplifiers. When you invest into a woman, you become wealthier. Like, whatever you've put into her, you get tenfold back. Like, when there is this correct energetics there and no one is holding back, of course, it's a lot on a woman. It's not for her to walk around with a freaking checklist, closed in her pussy, closed in her heart, closed in her jaw, and demand those things. Like, no, this is a disservice to the feminine. But when she dares to be in this openness, in this orgasmic, gushing expression of her heart, of her desire, of her love for this world, for this planet, for herself, for this man, then the whole thing is amplified. We don't need to think about this money at all. This money thing is like, it seems real, but it's not. Like, we live in the existence of infinite abundance. So if we can tap into that, we can talk. But we're not going to be talking about these things, though. We don't have time for that.
So the next question is a conversation I hear often that's really interesting, and I haven't had a good explanations of it, is this. The feminine the man is the provider, creates the structure for the home and the money and is paying for things and is working the job. Then the woman is creating the space, right? That's for the man to come home and feel loved and big and uplifted and confident and so on. And she's, traditionally, this is just one traditional cultural thing, that the woman is in the home with the family, taking care of the household, the dishes, providing nourishing food, etc., right? Mm-hmm. And that somehow this creates some sort of balancing flow between the masculine and feminine. And I just want to take a side note, and I actually don't use those words because I think it's really a bit offensive to male, male, female, female. To me, I call it yin and yang energy, even though I'm very aware it's most commonly called masculine and feminine, because I just want to take a side note on that, but I'm happy to use these words, but I don't use them in my books or in my speech at all. And so when this yin energy, this feminine, or the yang energy, the masculine, right? So now this tends to be culturally very, it's been going on since the Industrial Revolution, the Agricultural Revolution, which before that in our culture, it was actually very different. Mm-hmm. And it made sense. The women are staying home, they are raising babies, the men are going out, they're hunting, they're providing, right? Mm-hmm. And this is very biological. It's in a lot of our base programming. And now we're in Bali and I'm meeting women, and this expectation is, there's an expectation of full provision, regardless of their financial status or where they are. And there's a conversation that's had many oftentimes, and a curiosity of, we are now in a place where I haven't washed my dishes in 5 years. I haven't cleaned my house in, 4 years. There's this, which takes away some of the traditional roles of that yin energy. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious for you, and we live in Bali. The woman doesn't need that. I don't want my woman to be cooking and cleaning and so on. I still want her to create the space and make it feel like a home, for sure. But I don't want her to be doing those things. That's not the best use of her time. Mm-hmm. I want her to be thinking about much bigger things, supporting me or supporting her own mission or whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And, we can get someone that is many of my friends have nannies that help out with some of the things that doesn't need to be done, that traditional roles. With this cultural shift, how do you think that plays into sort of that energetic flow between the two?
Yeah, there's a lot here.
Yeah, man, there's a lot.
Yeah, I find that it's about coming into this true place, like your true gift.
Yeah.
And yes, a woman can cook and clean, but is it really her true place? If she can be making impact and opening the hearts of thousands of women all over the world, I think she better do that than clean and cook. And then if she desires to, she will clean and cook. But it's more so like really living in this authentic truth of who she is and expressing. I think that's the feminine really gift, like to be in the connection to the heart and the connection to the goddess, allowing for herself to be a conduit for the goddess. And then being this conduit, like every man that I've ever related to with, he got so up-leveled in his state. One, from not knowing anything about Tantra, now became like a Tantra king. Another one had no business, no nothing, now makes like heaps of money and has a very thriving business. And it's not that, if I'm making this amount of money, I'm 7 figures a year or more, and then a man has to come and do the same. It's more so like man has to be who he is. Like what can he provide in his state? Like if he's a massage therapist and that's what he has to, and he's meeting a woman who is it doesn't matter where she is at. It matters where he is at and what does it mean for him to provide for her, to give to her. And so that's why there's no, like, you cannot come with this harsh, like, expectation. This is what you have to do for me. It's like where you're at, be where you're at, but like give from your heart where you're at, like show up in yourself, in your masculine, on where you're at. So, and then talking about this whole like roles, and for me it's not about the gender roles. It's not about woman is in the kitchen and man is in the office, and then when they're lucky they meet. It's more like how do we meet in the highest place as a man and a woman, as a masculine and feminine? What in our unique embodiment is the highest? Who are you in your highest expression? How can you be in that now? And who am I? And how then do we amplify each other? And if we are coming together to amplify each other, how does it matter what do we do every day? It's more like how do we amplify each other? And I know that I will amplify any man by being my full expression, by being in my joy, in my creativity, being on the stage in front of hundreds of thousands, hundreds of thousands, in front of hundreds of people, and like just doing the Sofia thing. And for a man, like, okay, like how does he do his thing? And and then the day-to-day stuff is not so relevant, because yes, you're right. Like we have so much support, and so many people want to support, and it's so good for them that we pay them and they support us, and it's good for them also to come into place. What I've created in my home, for example, in Portugal, I've created my home, and people when they walk in, they say like they enter into another dimension. A man came to polish I have a lot of wood, and he came to polish my wood. And he was there, and I come and go, oh, thank you so much for doing this. He was like, oh, no, thank you. I'm so happy here. I feel so uplifted. I don't want to leave. It's like I'm in a deep meditation here. I'm like, amazing, that's what it's about.
Yeah, beautiful.
So when we are in our true place, when we are in our true frequency, when we are not falling into the scarcity, into like, I'm not good enough, am I good enough? Can you save me? Can you help me? Like forgetting who we are, we serve no one. We don't serve ourselves, we don't serve our men, we don't serve our women. But if we are committed to being the highest vibration that we are, then, we change the world. We're changing ourselves, and so much, like it's a different world. It's a new world. It's not. We cannot rely on what was there in the past. Woman in the kitchen, man in the office. It's like it's a whole new reality.
It's interesting for me because I see a lot of that old sort of models of gender roles continuing into the new world.
That's the issue, that we don't have models.
Well, that's what we're talking about, is as things change, how do we change with it? And yet there's still a lot of programming that's coming from maybe growing up in Russia or in New York or whatever it is. There still is, I have to be honest, even when I hear you speak, I still hear expectations from you. And I'm curious, do you recognize that or not?
I feel like if there are expectations, that means that I am in a place of tightness, in a place of contraction. Then there will be expectations. When I'm in my correct place, there's no expectation, because I'm simply I simply am looking at the men that are there. And there's 4 billion men on this planet. So like I don't need one particular man to give me everything and to be that perfect way. But it's more so I am curious who he is as a man, and how he, like what I evoke in him, what do we evoke in each other, and if like what is the potential there. And if it's not, then it's not. There's 4 billion men, and do you find that the more work that you do, the more successful you are, and the more understanding and skills and knowledge, do you feeling it harder and harder to find men that can match that? Because the truth is, you're not going to be available. Most of these men do not have that many skills, are not trained, have not dedicated their lives to highest consciousness like you have. And these become standards, not in a bad way, but in a way that like, it's going to be harder, like the more we up-level ourselves, is it harder to meet people that have dedicated their lives to that level? I don't think so.
Okay.
Because this is the thought of scarcity.
Yeah.
It's like saying that there's not enough. I find that I meet beautiful men every day. Like every day. There's this thing with me that I meet people everywhere I go. That's why my girlfriends like to go out with me, because it's just like they're just everywhere. But this is because I just love men. I love this life. I'm in this openness. I am in this curiosity. And I feel like I meet very conscious men all the time. I don't think I meet unconscious men, because this is my vibration. And so the ones that are there, they are perfect for my vibration. You know, and then at the same time, I still in the openness, because if we meet, it doesn't mean that we need to be life partners, because that's what the phase of my life I'm in is like. That's what I want. I want a life partner. I don't want a short thing anymore. I've had enough of that. I've learned enough. I've grown enough in that, and now I want a life partner. So there's so little rush. There's no rush at all, because it's a life partner. It means it's until the end of the life, and probably for lifetimes to come. Like there's no rush there. And so when there's no rush, there's no scarcity, everyone comes with a freaking insane gift. Everyone is another face of God. Everyone is in the perfect place of consciousness, because it's exact mirror for where I am. And if it's not a life partner, then maybe it's a business partner, maybe it's a friend, maybe I will introduce him to someone, maybe he will introduce me. Like, you know? So when we operate in that place, there's no tightness. Of course, I have conditioning. Like I was brought up with that way, and when I was married to my first husband, I came with this kind of list. And he was willing, because he was very interested in me, so he was really providing for everything. But sometimes he was starting to feel a little bit like cranky, and like I'm like, what? So I would kind of pressure him a bit into the things. And then later, when we separated, I realized that some things he did not because he wanted to, but because I was expecting that. And then I sent him heaps of money. At some point, I just sent him the money.
Really?
Just like that.
Okay, she's like, you know what? I'm going to give you your investment back. Good dividends with Sofia over here.
I was like, I don't know. It was. I came from a contraction. I was pressuring him, and I manipulated him into that. So I can own it. And then what would be and he needed money. You know, at some point he was in a place that he needed it. It was his birthday, and I just sent him like $5,000 or something like that.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think what I'm hearing from that is it is important in the energetics of things. And I've noticed for me, it's like when there's an expectation, I really contract and I don't want to give. And when I just hear an expressed desire, I'm so excited to give. And there's a different energetics with that. And actually coming from a culture where we like both are contributing, and to me in my culture, it's actually a way to honor the woman, is to show that like, I respect you and you have a job and like you have a place and you can contribute equally if you want to. And like, that's a way to like show that I am not trying to suppress you. And like in many cultures, or especially more advanced cultures like Sweden, Finland, etc., Denmark, that is a way. And it can take away some of that polarity. And I've spoken to many women, specifically when I was teaching in Sweden, where there was like, I just want the man to be like, I'm getting the bill. Not because they're from an energy of, I'm trying to control you or try to get sex from you, but because like, I just want to take care of you.
Yeah. If a woman is honest, every woman will want a man who will just say, we are leaving at 7, I'm downstairs, like pack your bag, we're going.
Yeah.
Every woman, like if she is honest. And if she is not, if she is in this whole cultural brainwash, equality, schmequality, like she will be in this thing, but her pussy will dry off. So you want a woman with a dry pussy and paying for her bills, or do you want a woman who is gushing liquids when she sees you and she's so delighted and everything you are just gets amplified just because of the look in her eyes?
And, so I've actually had to change my perspective a lot, doing a lot of work in the Tantra space and learning that actually it's like, no, there's an energetic where it's not, equality is something different. Equality is recognizing that we have different roles in how we want to contribute, how we truly desire to contribute into what you're calling the highest good or the most divine expression of that partnership. So a question that I want to ask you earlier, are you in a partnership?
No, not right now.
No, why?
Because I'm choosing.
Yeah.
There are many good men around me and I'm in no rush because, as I said, the next relationship I'll have will be a life partner relationship. I feel that. I feel like I'm ready to be a mother. I feel like I want like something that is really like stable and lasting. And so I see that in the past I was very quick to enter into relationships. There was not many phases when I was single. And now it's a very different caliber that I am interested in.
Yeah, it sounds like a very high one. If you want to give applications, this seems like an incredible woman. And I really believe you, Sofia. I believe that any man that you're with, his abundance will come. And I've seen this with some of my friends that have done the amount of work that you've done. And I think it's absolutely beautiful that you're dedicating your life to this. And right now, a lot of that is dedicating your life and your gifts to women to come more into that femininity, correct? Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about that and where to find you? If there's a woman watching this, it's like, I want that. I want to go out and attract those conscious men that are going to show up for me. What are ways and they can learn that through your programs or mentorship?
Thank you so much for the acknowledgement and appreciation. Really receiving that. And yes, I am so fascinated to share this with women because I feel that every woman's natural place is that. And every woman wants that. And every woman is built for that. And every woman is made to be surrounded by the most incredible men who feel her value, who feel her worth. And we don't need to explain to them why we want a certain standard or why do we have certain desires, but it's just emanating from us. And so I work with women right now. I have a membership called Sanctuary. I have free masterclasses. I have just recently I ran a masterclass that's still available in our Telegram group called She the Love Magnet, which was just, there were over 5,000 women there. Like it was really like things were just popping for them, and immediately the results are coming. Immediately more men start to appear, and immediately there's more appreciation in them and around them as well. Now I'm running this program called Becoming Her. So I'm having an in-person retreat coming up in Portugal. So there are various ways to enter, but yeah, find me on Instagram, connect, send me a message, let me know any breakthroughs, any highlights that came up from this conversation, and we can dive in.
Beautiful. We'll put the links in the bio, and I think it's amazing. I actually believe that by healing women and giving them opportunities to create wealth and stability and safety in themselves, it's actually the easiest way to heal the world, because so much of this world is suppressing women, specifically through a lot of religion. It's been a good tool to suppress women. And when women become either more independent and more self-confident, it actually helps the world. I mean, for me, in all my businesses, I almost always hire women at C-level positions, managerial positions. When I do mentorship, I only mentor women from 31 to 43, because I realize I can bring the most value of bringing that masculine structure and technology and business processes, and then allow her to be in that energetic, powerful space, and let her be in that flow, and just like, here's the structures, here's your task lists, here's how to scale with new employees. And I love that. And I love seeing women come into their power. And so I love what you're doing, and it really resonates. Thank you for getting a little heated with me and a little vulnerable, and allowing those curious questions that as men, sometimes we get very confused about. And sometimes, those cultural things, and I don't know if we quite unpacked it completely, but I think there's some interesting things, you guys there. So Sofia Sundari, thank you for being here. Really appreciate your time. We'll have links in the bio, and feel free to reach out to either of us. Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for doing the work in yourself and for your curiosity and for wanting to understand. And through that also, I know that you are dedicated to your growth, to your empowerment as a man. Because when we do this individual work, we're actually also contributing to the masculine and feminine field. The more you become the man you choose to be, that you came here to be, the more you allow all the women who are around you and that you work with to step into their true place. And same with when we work with women, then the way we are showing up then with men, it also elevates them. And it's always a perfect reciprocity that's happening there.
Yes, and men, remember, be safe, but not too safe.